Actually, I didn't announce this yet, Dimebag, but I have an announcement about the robot. So, I'm actually not going to finish the ribcage. Instead of building a proper functioning ribcage with individually articulated ribs, I'm just going to build the thing as one solid part. So the whole ribcage will just be one sheet of fiberglass, just like that. That will be the ribcage. Temporarily as a template. So because I was thinking like later on the robot can upgrade his ribcage to a proper ribcage, replacing individual ribs and slowly building it up. But why should I have to do it? The robot should build his own ribcage. So that's what I decided to do. I'm just going to build a template and get that arm built. And I also realized rather than building the arm and then the arm builds the rest of its own body, that'd be a lot of wasted time having the arm build its face and its skin and its legs and its other arm. All that stuff, that wouldn't be of much use to me compared to that arm building another arm. And then those two arms building more arms until I have like maybe 15 or 20 arms. And all of these arms can then be working at the same time. That's 20 times the manpower, 20 times the work getting done. And then once I have that large workforce of employees, robot employees, then I can have them start upgrading one at a time the robots to a full humanoid body with legs, 2 arms, and a head. But originally, just having robots that are just a arm that can walk around is fine. And I was also thinking, the arm doesn't have to drag itself like in an army crawl. The arm can lift itself like a handstand and then run. Like Thing on Addams Family. It can actually run, just hopping on the one arm. So it'll just be an arm and a torso, no head, no other arm, and no legs. And that arm can hop around and even run at high speeds and even jump. If it's a strong enough arm, it can do those things. So that's what I'm going to go for instead. That one arm is way cheaper in terms of motors and electronics and everything else to power, and yet it can get all the work done of a full humanoid with legs and 2 arms and a head. And it's all about right now just getting work done. It's not about having cool humanoids to look at and talk to. It's about productivity, getting my plans brought to fruition. And then we can go back and make really cool looking humanoids that can pass for a human. But at first, I just need machines that can do the building, that can make my projects come to life quickly. As far as it sounding like a horror movie, yeah, I thought like it can run at high speeds and like chase a person or chase an animal, like just sprinting, just this arm running. And I wonder if it could like go 20 miles per hour, just like boom, 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 just sprinting through the yard. Like you'll just see it zip by and you'll be like, holy crap, it'll scare the heck out of people. And then I thought you could connect the disembodied torso with the arm coming out of it that can run. You can connect the torsos together and do a row of them, and it could be like a human centipede. It can be all these human arms just moving together like with a like the torsos in the body of a centipede. So it can like run around, like a bunch of them can be attached, like 16 of them, and they can sprint around like moving like a centipede. And that could be like really like a horror movie. And I would want, if I built that, I would want that to chase people around. I'll have it chase the neighbors around, and they'll be screaming, and they'll call the police and say that there's a giant centipede with human arms chasing people around the neighborhood, and the police department won't believe it, so they'll think it's a prank call and they'll hang up. Because it sounds like the person went crazy to call the police reporting that. That sounds ridiculous. So, yeah, I really don't think the police would even respond to a call about that. Which is hilarious. There's no way they could take that seriously. They think the person calling is crazy. They'd hang up. How are these arms going to see? Okay, so it'll be the arm and the torso, and then coming out where the torso ends will be one of these. This is just a desk lamp, And so essentially it will have a movable neck, and it will be able to rotate, and it will have actually, I mean literally this lamp. I'm not going to make a lamp or something. I'm literally going to use, I'm going to buy one of these lamps. And it will actually have a light bulb that can turn on, and it will have a webcam on top, or two of them next to each other for two eyes for stereoscopic vision purposes. And that will be it. Just two webcams mounted on a lamp, and it can look around and do its thing and look down. That's my plan for the head and the neck. Is it ghetto looking or whatever? Yes. But it's all about quickly getting working robots that can actually start building stuff for me. And building more of them so I can expand it and have 20 employees all working together at the same time 24/7. I mean, anything I want to make can be made quick then, because it's not just me slowly working away. It's 20 arms all independently working on individual bones. Like, if each arm could make one bone a day, that'd be 20 bones a day. The human body has, what, 200 bones? Like, in 10 days, they could build an entire human body. Like, that's so fast once you start getting enough of these robots working. And rather than have the robot build the rest of his own body, I was like, well, shoot, that's going to take him months. If he builds another arm, then suddenly they're working at twice the speed. And if they make two more, and then two more, till I have 20 or 40 arms, then we're in business working at 40 times the speed. And then, when we're at 40x speed, now you go ahead and worry about making the robots look cool and upgrading them to have a working rib cage, a working spine, and legs, and a head, and then adding skin. That's when you do that. But not right away. First, you need to just expand the workforce so that you can have a lot more efficient and high-speed production. Early on, it's just going to be too slow with only one robot arm working. Plus, if that robot arm fails and needs repairs, I'd have to do the repairs. But if I've got 20 robot arms, if one is needing repairs, upgrades, or cleaning, or whatever, it can call for one of the other robot arms, or two of them, to do a surgery on it to make repairs to whatever, a ripped ligament or a snap bone. They can actually repair one another. So this fleet of robot employees will be able to do their own maintenance work. So that will save me a huge amount of effort as well. It's absolutely possible, Dimebag. Robots build cars. It's like 90% robots building them, and that it's only 90% because it would cost so much money and time to get that last 10% to be automated as well. It's definitely doable. Robot arms can do anything. The difference between my robot arms and the robot arms at a car plant is they're big industrial robot arms that weigh 1,000 pounds, and they're bolted into a cement floor. My robot arms will be lightweight and can hop around, and so they're mobile. They can actually jump. Like, I was thinking originally, like, how is a arm going to get itself up the stairs? And then I was thinking, like, oh, it could, like, grab a stair and pull itself, and then, like, hook its chin, like, hook something onto the stair, and then reach up and then grab and pull. But no, that arm can just do a push-up and get into a handstand and then just start hopping. And it can jump up 3 or 4 stair steps at a time. Like, if it's strong and it's such a lightweight thing, it'll be able to leap up like 2-3 stair steps at a time. It'll be faster than me. It can just take off, run 20 miles per hour. It can just sprint up the stairs. Before I came up with the idea of having a hopping arm, I was also considering mounting wheels on the sides of the torso, so it can like roll around and then use the arm to get upstairs. But maybe if the wheels had big treads and stuff, it could drive up the stairs. So I was going to have like just a mounted humanoid, a human arm on a torso with 2 wheels coming off it. But like I said, I don't think that's necessary because this arm can hop. And it can hop at high speed, so it doesn't need wheels. Although wheels are more efficient energy-wise, who cares? I'll write the program for these. Are you kidding me? You think I'm going to hire somebody to do that? That's the most important part, and that's the part that will determine what is possible. And so that's where all the skill is and all the time invested will be. I'm going to be absolutely... I mean, that's my whole life will be programming at that point, because all of my personal interactions with the physical world will end once I have these a robot. Okay, so this robot army will be an extension of my body. So instead of me having 2 legs and 2 arms and a head, now those arms are my arms. I'll be like an octopus. And my will be carried out by these arms. They will be an extension. I'm going to think of them as my own arms. That these robots are an extension of my will and my body. So everything they do, I did. And so it's almost like I'm making myself into a superhuman, because my robot army, as an extension of my own body, will be able to achieve things so fast. I'm not going to hire a Harvard grad. They could not possibly, even if they, okay, then the robot army would be an extension of that Harvard grad's body and mind. So when they want to think of something to do, or when I want to think of something my robot arms can do, I'd have to tell the Harvard grad, please, can you make them do this? And he'll say, well, I'll try. No, that's then a middleman, and then he has all the power. I have all the power. If I can get these robot arms to do my will, then anything I envision, I can execute in real life and make happen. And so I need to be a master of controlling my own robot army. They need to be able to carry out my will to perfection and fast. The faster they can carry out my will, the faster any idea I have, any product I want to invent or bring to market, anything I want to do, any manufacturing, like I can have it done quick. So what you guys have noticed is my project list keeps growing and my mind keeps expanding. I keep coming up with all these new projects and ideas, but they are not getting done. Which is why if I can build a robot army, all the ideas I've written down over the years and I keep announcing, the robot army will carry those out. They will build it all. So I can keep adding ideas as I go through the years, getting older and older, and it won't be a problem because I'm no longer limited by my physical capabilities and my time constraints. Now I have a team of robot army to build things fast. If I want to build an electric car, fine. I'll have my robot army get on it. They'll build it in, a week instead of me taking years to slowly build up a car. So things will just be fast. This is not actually a massive project, Dimebag. You know why? I need only one robot arm to build the next robot arm, and then those two will build more and more and more and more. I'm no longer doing anything. The robot arms are doing it, so that's not a massive project. It's a massive project for them. Big deal. They have all the time in the world. They're a robot. They can work 24/7. They don't need time off. They don't have other businesses they're trying to run like me. My time's limited, but their time is not. So as soon as I finish the robot arm, the massiveness of the project is irrelevant because it's not me doing the project anymore. It's the robots doing the project. So the only massive part would be what? Finishing the robot arm? Like building a robot arm is not massive. There's going to be what? 40 motors, one computer, which I already have, and several microcontrollers interfacing it all, and that's it. And all the wiring and the power supply. And that's like probably a year and a half or 2 years of work for the electronics. And then it's going to be another like 7 or 8 years of programming to get the robot doing really good stuff. So yeah, it's like 10 years to have the robot arm like a beast, just able to make anything. And that's when he'll be able to take off making more and more robot arms. So like 8 to 10 years is when this is going to just start happening lightning fast. Maybe faster. I don't know. I just gave a conservative estimate right there. I already told you, Dimebag. It's gonna be a head, chest, and arm. But I just say an arm because the head and chest won't look human, and they're just gonna be a template. The head is just gonna be a lamp, and the neck is just gonna be a lamp arm, and the chest is just gonna be a rough shape of a torso. It's not going to even have spine or ribs. It's just going to be the shape of a torso. So it's going to be like basically a PC case is the chest. So we're talking it's not going to look like a cool human looking robot. It's going to look like crap. But that's okay because I don't need... Heck, the torso could just be a box. It could just literally be a cube with the computer and the power supplies and stuff. It doesn't even need to look like a human chest. Because at the end of the day, all that matters is that the arm is something to mount to, and it has a working shoulder, so that means a working chest, traps, lats, and it can move its shoulder around. It has this. And then it needs this, and it needs this, and then it needs to be able to fully articulate its fingers, and once it can do that, it can do anything I can do. It might be a little slower to work with one hand. When I have two hands, it's better, because I can, like if I'm threading a needle, I pick up the needle with one, and I feed the thread with the other. If I only had one hand, how am I going to do that? Well, that's where helping hands come in. I'm going to need to make a giant version of this, perhaps, so my robot will be able to clamp things in place. Because if I only if I cut off one of my arms right now, like that would hamper me. Like a lot of things I do would be harder. Like to rip off a piece of tape. I can't hold it with my left hand, pull off some tape and rip it. I would need to pick up the tape with my one arm and find a way to clamp it and then pull off. So right now I'm using my teeth to hold things, but he'll need a vise and like helping hands and different types of things like that to hold things in place so that he can work with the one arm. So that will be important, and it will slow things down for him, but who cares? If my robot is slowed down a little bit, that's not a big deal because his time is infinite. A human's time is limited, but a robot literally never sleeps. He can work day and night, so anything that might slow him down a little bit, I'm not too concerned with. Plus, he can move at superhuman speeds. There's no limit. I mean, he could be like, boop, 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 like he can move quick, because robots don't have, I mean, their muscles can be as fast as you want them to be. He's going to be powerful and high speed. Have you seen how fast like high speed robots work at factories? Like pick and place machines, they're like this. Boop, 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 boop. Like it's a blur. You have to watch it in slow motion to even see what it's doing. So I can make my robot arm fast and strong. It's not going to be a rubber head. Like I said, the arm is going to be dragging around just a rough shape of a torso and a lamp coming out the head. Yeah, I agree a two-arm robot would be faster and more efficient, but it wouldn't be faster and more efficient than two one-arm robots. Okay, so would you rather have two one-arm robots that can each be working on separate projects? Or would you rather have one two-arm robot that's maybe 30% faster? Like, the second arm would make it 30% faster, but it'd be 100% faster by making two independent robots that each have just one arm. Does that make sense? So it's actually more efficient for it to build that second arm on a totally unique robot separately. And then those two arms will be faster than the one arm having a second arm as a helper. Now I have two independent arms that are both handicapped by only having one arm. And then, I mean, the first thing they'll do once they start upgrading themselves is make their second arm. Then they'll be two-arm robots. But first I'm going to create an army of one-armed robots. And then I'll worry about having that army of robots start to upgrade one another by adding a second arm and legs and stuff to each other. And they'll build up each other. And I won't have to do it. I mean, I'm going to be doing all the coding for this, but they will be doing the actual work. I don't think two arms, one brain is faster. I disagree with that. Because a lot of things that they'll be doing is repetitive. Like, a lot of what they'll be doing is bone making. Bone making will start out, they'll hold with a 3D pen that's just one arm. 3D pen sculpting the bone. Okay, they sculpted the bone. Now they need to put epoxy. Well, you can grab the epoxy bottle with your thumb and forefinger while holding the bottle. You can pop off the cap, and then you can squeeze out. Do that with other caps, squeeze it out. You can reach over, grab the Q-tips, stir it up. Okay, now you can apply the epoxy to the 3D print. Now you can grab a scissors, you can cut out some fiberglass, you can pick that up, you can stick it on, you can rub it in. That's all one hand. There are only certain things that are really hard to do without a second hand, but most of what you do in a long session of part fabrication you can actually do with one hand, and it wouldn't be slower at all. Not really. And they could clamp whatever it is into place on the table that they're working or whatever. So I really think two arms is faster and it's a must for things like maybe cutting hair with the scissors and comb. You need that second arm. But for a lot of activities, you can actually get by with just the one hand, one arm. And the second arm doesn't really help that often, not that much. So I think that for manufacturing and part fabrication and stuff, the one arm is going to actually be just fine. Same with sewing. You grab the sewing needle, besides threading it, which will be hard, all you have to do is clamp the needle in a vise and have it pinch off or whatever. Maybe the vise could be automated, so it will be motor controlled. The robot will use its Bluetooth to tell the vise, okay, close, and the vise will close. And so it will hold things using a automated vise that runs on a motor. And that way, things can be held in place, and then it can work on it. So that way it won't need the second hand. Because most of the time, if you think about it, when you're doing projects, your left hand is just a holder. It just holds. If I want to open up a box of aspirin, I picked it up with my left hand because I planned to take the cap off with my right. I'm just holding it. The right's doing the real work, twisting the cap off. Well, if I had a vise, I could just drop it in. The vise just says, and then I use my right hand to open it. And this is just the vise. So all I need is just a gripper as a vise that can hold things. And so it doesn't actually need a full other arm. It just needs a gripper that can be just sitting on the table and hold things for it whenever it needs. So that's all I need. So I'll just create a nice mechanical automated vise gripper, and that will complement the one-armed robot very well. And it will be off to the races, man. And that second arm would have been such a waste of time and development and cost and all the motors. Because if I build 40 robots, that's 40 extra arms with $600 worth of motors per arm. That's $24,000 worth of hardware just to have a second arm that very rarely does anything useful except hold things in place, while the right arm does all the big work if it's right-handed. So I just don't think building that second arm is cost effective. It's much more efficient just to have the one-armed robot. It's as cheap as possible, and you can have a lot of them for a bargain of a price. And that's what it's all about, is expanding a robot army for as cheap as possible so that they can get to work and start making my projects, businesses, and dreams come to fruition very quickly. How can you open a bag of chips? Same thing. Grab the bag, and then you have the automated vise. Close on the bag, and then it can use its arm to pull it open. So yeah, it basically has a second arm in the form of a vise, which is just going to be mounted on the table it works on. And instead of it having to turn the vise thing, the vise will have a little motor that turns the vise thing that opens and closes the grip. So all I need is one motor on a vise, and then that vise will hold everything it needs that normally the second arm would be holding. That's how I'll get around having to build second arm. That will work. And you know what? The coding was always going to be there. You guys knew if I want to make a humanoid robot to do a lot of cool stuff, that's going to be millions of lines of code. So that's a given. But now the point was, yeah, but you're taking too long. This robot's just too big of a project, and it's unacceptable. You guys said 10, 20 years to build a robot? Come on. Well, that's all gone now. Now it's going to be 2 more robot days, and I'll be done with all the building except I begin full-time electronics. I need 2 more robot days to wrap things up. 2 more. So we could be talking in a month from now. I begin full electronics. Every robot day it's just electronics. And that's going to Electronics are nowhere near as time consuming as all that bone fabrication. Each bone was taking me 15 hours to make. And there's hundreds of bones I was trying to make. That was slowing me down. It was taking me years. I see what you're saying. Once you get one arm, it will move faster to build a second and multiply faster. Exactly. The quicker they multiply, the better. Exactly it. Because if that one arm has to build his second arm, and now it just has 2 arms, and those 2 arms work on building another robot with 2 arms, I mean, that's a big delay. Whereas by the time they have 4 arms, they could have had 4 individual working robots, but now it's just 2 robots that have 2 arms each. That cut the expansion time into a quarter. I could have 4 times the rate of expansion of the robot army if it's just building a single arm. Plus, single arm means less parts that can fail, and more rapid expansion, and simpler. All the engineering is simpler because it's just the one arm. There's less moving parts. A home robot made by Amazon will have what? 3 features. It can iron your clothes, it can mop your floors, and it can take out your trash. Like, that's literally all it offers. Will it be able to reproduce itself? I don't think so. Do you think Amazon would sell a robot that can make more of itself? No, because the first time they sell one, whoever gets that one is just going to have it build a bunch more of itself and sell it to their neighbors, so Amazon wouldn't be able to make any more money. Nobody would ever sell a robot that can make more robots because they're basically, the first customer they have is going to be their competition, beating them to market with the robot that they sold them. So my robot will be far superior because my robot will be the only robot on Earth that replicates itself. My diet's working? Well, thank you. But it's because I'm sitting up. When I do this, I have a fat face. You guys aren't used to seeing me sit up straight. When I sit up straight, I don't have a double chin. You guys will call me fat once I start sitting back. All my neck skin starts coming up toward my chin and then gives me a double chin. It's because of how I sit. And I'm only sitting up like this because I'm so hyped talking to Console Cowboy about... talking to Dimebag. Sorry about that, Dimebag. I called you the wrong person. I'm talking to Dimebag about my plans to build a robot army. Have just gotten all the more attainable at a much higher speed and shorter timeline because I'm no longer building it as one robot arm that then builds the rest of his own body, which takes him months and months and months and months and months to do, or years. Instead, that one robot arm is going to build another arm. And then those 2 arms will build more arms until I get like 20 arms. And all those arms then can start building one robot. Working together, they'll be able to get it done in like a fraction of the time because each arm is like an independent worker that can work on a different part of the project. So it will just speed things up exponentially. And that's what I want. Exponential speed growth. That will make all the difference in the world. So the single robot arm's already been built. That's the great thing about this. I have the arm done. And I have... in 2 more days, I can finish building the scapula and the collarbone, which is the bones that hold the shoulder holster or whatever it's called. It's pretty much the rest of the what connects the shoulder to the torso. Those 2 bones. I have to finish building those, and then I have to just rough out a real rough torso. And then that's it. I'll be done with all the bones, and then it's just the electronics. I have to add in all the motors and stuff. So, we're going to be seeing 2 more robot days, so that means in the next about a month I'll be starting electronics. And the electronics are just going to be fun for you guys to watch and for me to do. And they'll probably take, I don't know, 8 months. And then it's just programming from there, and you guys will start seeing it moving and getting better and better. Eventually doing all the things I wanted to do, and eventually start manufacturing, and it will start being able to actually be productive and actually make stuff. And that will happen, I think, pretty quickly, but it's not going to be like really good right away. It's going to be kind of clumsy and slow, and it'll take time to get the code to be like super awesome and make the robot arm just like really efficient and high speed and able to do anything I want it to do. Like it'll be really hard to code the arm to be able to hop around, doing like a handstand and travel around and jump upstairs. Like that's going to be a hard part. But just getting the arm to like move around and like pick things up, that I think that can happen relatively quickly. Maybe like like 6 months of coding. And I say 6 months because it's not full time. I only work on it like I'll only be working on it like 15 hours a month. So yeah, 6 months would be 90 hours of work. So about 90 hours of coding, and I'll be able to have the arm able to like pick things up and stuff. That's my rough estimate. Okay, so this is not a new project. This is Adam's arm, an Adam's torso, an Adam's computer, an Adam's code. This is Adam. But Adam would be too much work to build, too many years. It's taken too long. So I'm making Adam a simpler robot for now. And Adam's going to build helpers so that Adam's not alone. Adam has a big team he puts under him. And using that team, a large team, 20 to 40 other robots, now they can finish building Adam. They will have the ability to build Adam very quickly with 40 people working together. One person builds slow. 40 people? Okay, that's 40 times faster. I mean, that's going to cut it down to lightning speed. So that's why this is a better approach. This will get Adam done faster in the long run and get more and more robots to join Adam. I'm trying to speed things up, and I'm working smarter rather than harder.